The views and opinions in this program are not those of CISA 7 or Spectrum.
My name is Andrew Austin.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
You've attached this. Did you want all board members to get a copy?
To refer to later, I only brought like 3 copies. I realized I didn't have enough for everybody.
Okay,
So,
all right. So I'll have Sandy make us copies.
and I'll make a reference to that in just
Okay,
a second.
all right,
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you very much. So I come to you today to argue against the district's dress code. I have 4 arguments, 2 based on the First and 14th Amendments to the U.S. Constitution and related legislative and judicial actions, and 2 based on the problem of stereotyping and stigmatization. I won't have time to get to them all, so I urge the board to read my longer statement, which we were just talking about. And I'm happy to speak to board members at greater length about the logic of the arguments. In the time I have, I want to take up the question of head coverings and in particular hoodies. District policy states that head coverings are not allowed, and I looked at the latest manual and is current, I believe, through today, are not allowed in the school building during the school day, with an exception that they may wear head coverings for religious reasons. This is problematic from a constitutional standpoint. The Establishment Clause of the First Amendment obliges public institutions to remain neutral on questions of religion. If a freedom is curtailed or expanded, it must be for secular reasons, and the restriction must equally apply and the freedom open to all. Accommodations must not privilege some students while limiting others. As I'll show, there's no rational reason for restricting headgear, but rather an irrational one, and the religious accommodation indicts this policy. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlaws discrimination based on race, religion, and other categories. Religious discrimination is analogous to race discrimination in this law. Brown versus Board of Education in 1954 determined that the doctrine of separate but equal is inconsistent with constitutional principle. It is inherently unequal to separate, limit, or privilege students on the basis of race. Would the district ever consider instituting a policy that permits white students access to head coverings, hoodies, for example, but prohibits black students from wearing them? This violates the Civil Rights Act because it treats individuals differently on the basis of race. Yet the district enforces a policy that treats people differently on the basis of religion. This is a pernicious double standard. Moreover, the double standard rests on implicit stereotypes, one indicating virtue, the other indicating disrepute. The assumption is that religious students who wear head coverings are not dangerous or violent, or are not using head coverings to hide headphones or weapons, or concealing their identity, or that head coverings are not distracting, are all reasons given for why hoodies should be banned in school. If any of these reasons were legitimate, then religious head coverings should not be exempted, since all the possibilities identified apply in that case as well. Yet other students, in particular minority youth, especially males, are assumed likely to be using head coverings for these illicit purposes. It sees them as unsafe, and this is prejudicial to them. Without determining on an individual basis whether students are using head coverings for illicit purposes, a ban with exceptions means concrete individuals are treated as personifications of abstract groups about which, for some, bad intentions are assumed, while others' motives are deemed good intentioned. And this is why, in May of this year, students at the Uplift Community High School in Chicago overturned a rule that banned hoodies on their campus. And the students at Uplift argued that the ban fed into harmful misconceptions about hoodies being associated with criminal activities, misconceptions based on racial stereotypes. Individual freedom means that individuals are treated as such, not judged on the basis of abstract groupings. And finally, the policy could consider all the exemptions that would allow students with alopecia, cancer, disfigurements, and other stigmatizing problems that for them necessitate head coverings, and presumably such accommodations are within the principal's discretionary power. However, just as the policy implies head coverings are disreputable for certain classes of people, exceptions for non-religious reasons spotlights what affected students likely wish to conceal. It makes a potential stigma conspicuous. Students should not have to explain to anybody why they wear head coverings. And I urge the district to retire this policy and allow students to dress and express themselves in a manner that they and their parents see fit. If attire and grooming are found to meet exceptions identified in the Tinker Standard established by the Supreme Court in 1965, and I'm happy to explain that further, then this can be determined and should be on a case-by-case basis, as it should be in a society of individuals who are treated as such before the law and not reduced to representatives of abstract impositions and subject to prior restraint. It is not the place of the district to police students' clothing and messaging, especially in a manner that grants privileges to some and discriminates against others. No student should enjoy preferential treatment on the basis of race, religion, nationality, or other categories identified in our laws, but should enjoy equal treatment before the law, which should move in the direction of expanding personal liberty, not limiting it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just leave this on.